Michael Mulida, Director of Green Hills by the River, and a graduate of UWI-St. Augustine Film Program. So check us out.
All right, good morning everyone, and welcome to the UWI-Film program. This morning we are hosting the General Manager of Film TT, Ms. Leslie-Ann Willis-Caton, and we will be discussing a series of topics. Now, just before we start with that conversation, I just want to mention that this event that we are having here today is being live streamed on YouTube and Facebook. But also, this is part of a workshop series that the University of the West Indies Film Program is commencing this semester to really, as we emerge out of our pandemic cocoon, to foster more growth and interaction between the film program and the film industry, not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in the wider Caribbean. So these events that we will have that will run throughout this academic year, which runs from September 2022 to May 2023, we will be featuring conversations with different leading members of the industry, some of our illustrious alumni, as well as staff and students here at the program. So we really do want you guys to come and interact more with what we are doing here at the program, see what our students and staff are capable of creating. So thank you again for coming, and please do enjoy yourself today. So I'm going to introduce the coordinator of the film program, Dr. Yao Ramasa, and he will say a few words before we begin.
Thank you, Lynn. Just want to welcome the General Manager of Film TT, Ms. Leslie-Ann Willis-Caton. The Film TT is critical. I want to just a little bit of history. In 2005, 2006, we had the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival, the UWI Film Degree Program, and the film company, Trinidad and Tobago Film Company, all came out at that particular time. And that is a signal moment in Trinidad and Tobago and Caribbean film history. So 2006, you had that trifecta. And two of those entities are here today. Little disclaimer, I used to be a director of the film company or Film TT, and for one hot second I was chairperson of that entity. So I know both sides of the coin, and I guarantee you there's a lot of information, a lot of incentives, support, funding, and just general knowledge that can come out from today. And please feel free to be in touch consistently and constantly with the Film TT so that you can be in lockstep going forward with what is essentially our film commission. So without further ado, I want to introduce the illustrious Leslie-Ann Willis-Caton.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you so much for the invitation here today. I'm Leslie-Ann Willis-Caton. I have two portfolios, the Film Commissioner to Trinidad and Tobago, and that is that we facilitate films locally and internationally. I'll get into that, as well as the General Manager of Film TT, where we work on capacity development programs and really building the film industry. So that's the two sides that I will share with you today. So before I begin, I'd like to know who's in the room. So UWI students only? Year 1, year 2, year 3, former. All right, so we have a nice mix. Non-UWI students, you're just here to see what's happening. You're in the film industry. I find your hand went up for like everything, no? You. All right, so today, welcome. Is there anything that you want to ask before we begin? Main things you want to know. Okay. Now with me, we have Joanne Hackshaw, Project Officer, and Afia Green, Project Officer at Film TT. They're at the back, they'll be helping with the presentation. Now, I was thinking about the best way to share about the industry. I did a whole PowerPoint presentation, and I was like, maybe not. Let me just actually literally show you all the websites. I know you all are very tech savvy, so you all could real time, it's an interactive session, real time go on the website and just get yourself familiar with what's happening. All right, so the film industry. Do we know what ministry the film industry falls under? What ministry do we fall under? Yes, it's that kind of session today. I should get some names. Sorry, what? The Ministry of I don't know. We don't know what ministry the film industry falls under. And it's, of what? No. Trade and industry. So you see, that's one of the main issues. If we don't know where we fall under, then how we know where to go? All right, so we fall under the Ministry of Trade. Now, that means that film is then correct, it's export, it's a business. Yes? So film is a business. Now, if we're a business, you need to have a registered company. Are we registered? Any registered film companies? Look at the tiny hand, the cameraman doing so. That's good. All right, so as a filmmaker, no matter what side of the divide you fall on, you should have a registered company, and I will tell you why in a very hot second. So just to recap, because I'm going to be very interactive with you today, you have to have a registered company if you want to make it in the film industry. Now, how do you register? We can go to it's online, Ministry of Legal Affairs. You can, due to COVID, you could go online and literally start the process to register your business. And I love that I have year 1s and 2s and 3s, because that's the first step. And the purpose of the registration ties into your funding. Because where we getting the money, and I need money to make my film, you have to be registered. You're not getting money otherwise. And the interesting thing about getting funding, not from Film TT in particular, but like from other ministries, your company should actually be 2 years old. So now is a good time if you're in UWI to actually start the registration process. So by the time you come out, your business is 2 years old, right? That's for you to get funding from Export TT, from places like the Ministry of Tourism. A lot of those companies will ask you how long you've been registered for. And yes, it should be a limited liability. I will tell you that now. A lot of people will tell you, do a sole trader, that will bite you. And then you'll have to still go and re-register as a limited liability. Why are we limited liability? Anybody? All right, so we limit liability so that the blame or anything that is to happen does not fall on you, the individual filmmaker, right? So as a limited liability company, whatever happens, it's going straight to the company and not to you as the individual. We good so far? So what's the first step? Register your business. Even if you have a name that might be, what's your name? Jonathan, the Best Filmmaker Limited, right? Jonathan, the Best Filmmaker. You might want to change your name after, but that's fine. At least start the process. All right, so first things first, register your company. All right, so now we're going to go to the Film TT page. Now, a lot of times we get questions like, we don't know what to do. We don't know what direction to take. We don't know. I'm like, everything is on our Film TT website, literally. And I'll show you. Have we seen this website before? Watching, right? Okay, so first, it's several things. Now, if we go under the Film Commission tab, and you see Production Directory, we encourage everyone to register. So first, you start your registration process for your business. That's phase 1. Second phase, in the interim, you register on our Production Directory. Why is that important? Now, this is for us to know that you exist in a good way. So what we normally will do is that we will tell people, if they're looking for filmmakers, a director, sound operator, whoever, right? We will then go to this particular directory to say and pull from that listing. Now, even if you're a student, you can still register as a student, as a production assistant, and as you encourage and update your brand, then you can start doing so. You can update this document. So your second phase, register on our production directory. If anyone is asking us for filmmakers, we normally defer and refer to this particular document. We good? Right. Now let's go back to the Film TT page, the main page, right. So now what else do we have? The rebate. Now we know what the film rebate is? No, yes. Yes, it's a cashback incentive. And this is twofold, right? So the rebate, and it's right there. This is one of Film TT's main form of funding. And what it is that we're encouraging you, once you make your film, you can get back up to, as we say, up to 55%, but I'll explain it. So if your production spend is, your budget is around, this is for foreign films, US 100,000 to $500,000, you can start at 12.5%. Of course, if it's more, it goes up to 15, and then 35%. Now, what happens is that we will give you an additional cashback on the cast and crew. Now, this is a very technical document, but once I explain it to you, not today in detail, you'll understand how easy it is. But the benefit for local filmmakers, because then this is where I'm a student, I don't have 100,000 US. If you're a local filmmaker, you just need to spend 100,000 TT dollars, and you will qualify for the 35% on your overall qualifying spend, as well as the 20% bump up on your cast and crew. We good so far? Right, so this is saying if you literally spend $100,000, you can get back about 45,000 TT dollars after you've made your film. Good? Good incentive, right. Now, once you look at the rebate guide, it's very detailed, but if you have any questions, you can call, you can send an email, and I can set up a one-on-one session with you, and we can go through the rebate guide. You can do that anytime you want. I'm available for whenever you want to talk, so that's fine. So this is the document that will tell you what we have available, what qualifies, and it's literally anything and everything qualifies for the rebate. Because we really want you to make your film showcase your TV series, your feature film, your animation, commercials, it's all there, right? So that's fine. Any questions so far? Good. All right, so we can go back to the main page. Right, now funding, what we love to find out about. So Film TT, we fund 2 different types of projects. Look, Jelani, what's up? Right, so we fund film festivals, right, as well as we have a general sponsorship. So it's online. So if you click on the general sponsorship form, and this is for anybody, you have any project at any stage of development, you can fill in this form online, and we will, of course, have a discussion about it and see what we can offer you. So if we click on, we had a slight little snag. But this will tell you what you need to do. You should have at least your pitch deck. You should have at least a budget outline. And then you can tell us if you need money for research and development, exhibition, production, post-production, marketing. No, show them the form to fill in. So before you fill in the form, we have given you a list of guidelines of what we're looking for before you fill in the form. So you can click on the actual, the one on top. Oh, okay. All right, well, if you're online and you're following along, you can actually go on it and click and see what is needed in real time. And it's very easy. It's a Google form. And you just upload certain forms, just upload the documents. We'll look at it. We'll tell you if you qualified or not. But guess what? You need to have a registered business. We're back to the registered business. So it's not that Film TT doesn't want to support, but we have a format that we have to follow. And so once your business is registered, then once you reach out to Film TT for funding, then you're in a better place for us to provide you with funding. Now, why we have to do that, of course, is accountability, right? Good. So now we have the inquiry form. Now, what is this? Once you are making any film, doing any production, you can let Film TT know. Whether it's a school project, a commercial, a short film, anything at all, you should fill in this form, and once we're aware of it, we can assist you with a lot of different things. We have affiliations with civil aviation, with customs and excise, and I'll tell you about equipment just now, because that's always a hot topic. We have affiliations with the police service, with different ministry offices. So whatever it is you're working on, we really want to track you. Now, why that is important, I will tell you. Every month, I need to tell the government how many projects we've done in films. Now, I know I do not have all of the data, because not every filmmaker who's creating content will let us know or even tag us. And you can tag us at Discover Film TT so that we can now let the government know, actually, for the month of September, 50 short films were produced, 10 commercials, 2 music videos. The more we know and the more we can tell the government that this is happening, then they'll be like, this is actually a very thriving industry. Let's put more money into the industry. And so that is really where we also ask you all to help us with the data. Because unless we know, unless we kind of scroll through social media and we see a filmmaker doing something, and I know we get questions a lot, how Film TT does feature this person and not another person? It's because they let us know. They send us an email, they tag us on social media so that we can reshare. And depending on the type of project, we might actually reach out to you for you to do 20 questions with Jonathan or Jelani or Gian. Oh, the G's, right? So once we know, then we can provide that service. Because what I will let you know is, as a filmmaker, your visibility and your brand is very important, because then people will ask you, well, what have you done? So we're kind of chicken and egg situation. You want to get work as a filmmaker, you've not done anything, but then they'll ask you, well, where's your body of work? And you don't have a body of work, so you're kind of you're always tossed and turning based on how you can actually contribute and be seen as a filmmaker, which we'll discuss in a bit as well. Right, so this is our inquiry form, fill it in, and let us know if you have any questions, if you need any support. Now, what we do with equipment, if you are bringing any equipment into the country, you let Film TT know. We will send a correspondence up the chain to say, listen, filmmaker X is bringing in equipment, and we will help you with that process so that you don't have all the expensive fees. There's a waiver on that, all right? Even if you're working with an international production company and they're doing a temporary import of equipment, there's no cost. So what we will normally do is we'll have an access to the list of equipment. We will send an email to airport, customs, immigration. We'll say this filmmaker is coming in to do XYZ, the list of equipment, the value of it. We give them the documentation. And once the filmmaker is coming in with the equipment, customs will check through, blah, 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 blah. You're free to go, right? So that's the service we also provide. That's the facilitation that's involved. We clear on that? And now we could tell people who bring in equipment, talk to Film TT, because we can help, and don't pay hundreds of thousands. I hear some ridiculous fees, right? So we can assist you with that. Main page, right, so inquiry form, locations. So we do have a locations database. So sometimes we have people asking about particular locations where they can film, what we can look at, and we have a database that's available. Of course, not every single location is on the database, but it's a good start. And in fact, we encourage filmmakers like yourself, if you've discovered a new location, send us a message, tag us on it so that we could now either add it to the database or we can reshare. Because as much as possible, remember, we're promoting it for local filmmakers as well as international filmmakers. We want people to see Trinidad and Tobago as a film-friendly destination. So the more unique, unseen, unexpected locations, then that's what we encourage. I think we're doing a sample test so that you can see. Yes, we're always asking for your data. It's intentional because we have to report it again to the government. So I will get asked, well, how many filmmakers actually using this database? And then I have to go on the back end and pull data and say, well, actually, we had 200 searches this month. That's the level of detail that the ministry is always asking for. And so the more you all go and you utilize it, and it shows them, again, that this is a viable, thriving industry. Let's invest in the film industry, right? So you'll see we have some locations here. Depending on what you type in, you would see different locations. You can send us an email saying, well, I'm interested in XYZ location, and we can see how we can assist, right? And of course, even at the CDA will normally tell you, reach out to Film TT, because you know with CDA, that's a different permission that you need to get, right? So once you reach out to us, telling us that you want to film down CDA, then we can assist you with that. Good, so we have a list of locations, but feel free to help us add to this list as well. Yes, you will get your credit for photography by X. All right, so we can go back to the main. We good so far? And all of this is on the website, www.filmtt.co.tt. Save it as your favorites. Right, right, and of course, resources. So what we normally do is we have, during COVID, we did a lot of online sessions that we would have taped, and it's on YouTube, so you can look at it there. And of course, this is also the Business of Film workshop that we did in 2019. And of course, about what's happening. So right now, we have, well, I'll tell you, remember Film TT, we also do capacity development programs. So we had 2 programs running. We had the short film, so we had a list of persons apply. They did a 5-week workshop, and we chose the top 3 family-friendly short films, and then they were given $10,000, $15,000, $10,000, and $5,000 TT dollars to develop. And then for this fiscal, we then awarded them $40,000 TT dollars to create the content. So what we've realized is that as much as we want to give you the information, we need to literally take you from script to screen. And so we were able now to provide additional funding of up to $40,000, and those films screened Republic Day. We had Jack Spot with Aaron Carruth and Stephen Taylor. We had I Dream of Calypso, Solange Plaza, and we know this one. And then we had Sky Glow by Karen Jeffers. All right, so all 3 filmmakers got $40,000 as support. Now, with that $40,000, they were able now to either get additional funding or get additional support from other individuals and sponsors. Right, so, all right, so that's it there, right? And then it showcased on TTT as well as Caribbean Tales. And the beauty of these type of capacity development programs that we're doing now is now we will help you with international distribution. You can come to Film TT and say, well, my film got through to X festival, I need additional support, and wherever and however we can support, we will. The other program we have running is we're creating a 5-episodic TV series, and Richard Raghubar Singh is the showrunner. So we're still in the pre-production. We're looking for PAs. If you want to come in and see the process, literally you can send us a message and you can come on board. I will encourage you that this is a really good opportunity. We're filming the entire thing in studio. We're actually building sets, and that's at Star Global Studios in Chaguanas. We're building all of the sets in real time, and we'll be treating it just like a sitcom internationally, where the sets are built, the characters go in, we have a 3-camera setup, and that's exactly what we're doing. The reason why we're doing that is, I think in 2021, maybe 2020, I got a few calls from Hollywood, and they were asking if we had any showrunners. You'll have showrunners in Trinidad? I was like, well, not really, right? We have persons who will do theater, but we don't have showrunners. And so we created on set to build the capacity. And so we had a writer's room. We had Kevin Sawyer, Penelope Spencer, Richard Raghubar Singh, Alexander Johnson, and Kwame Weeks. So they were in the writer's room, and they were able to now assist with, and of course they all had to pitch in front of Exim Bank, TTT, Export TT, and Film TT. And Richard came out successful. The rest of them were in the writer's room to help finesse his script, because what we realized locally is that we want to encourage support. So the writer's room is very important. You might have a film idea or a script idea. Shop it around with a few writers or a few friends just to get feedback on your project, right? So we're expecting to go into production at the end of this month or early next month. So if you're interested, like I mentioned, let us know, and we can definitely get you on board to see and experience this process. This is the first time we're doing something like this in the country in this way, and so you all are the perfect group to see the process real time and understand what it will take or what it can take to do a TV series, building sets and working with the sets, because the sets will stay up for the entire duration of the filming. Any questions so far? You're good. Nice. Okay, so what else do we have happening? No, this was for last fiscal. So this fiscal, I feel like, right, so this fiscal we will be doing again a capacity development, but this time we want to bring in filmmakers from outside. I'm not going to say yet, but their content has been on Netflix. They're very good in terms of getting their content from script to screen in a very short turnaround. And so we want to get them to come to Trinidad and Tobago in real time to work directly with you all. So it will be a workshop as well as a training for you all to see how the international producers and the filmmakers do it. What are we missing? And I'll tell you, we went to Nigeria recently to understand their format, and they actually have a very short turnaround. They will create a feature film that will be from development, and I will say to Netflix in 3 months. And the feedback I got is that, well, Leslie, and you all take too long to make films. Just make the film, make the film, make the film. Now, what is holding us back? We want the money. But then it's, again, the chicken and egg. You're not going to get all of the money up front if sponsors don't know who you are. And actually, I shouldn't say sponsors. I will no longer be speaking about the wording sponsors. As filmmakers, we're not begging for handouts. We're investors. A filmmaker is a very valuable asset to any production. And so when you're going to ask for money, change your language. It's not, hi, I need sponsorship because I'm making a little movie. No. You have to be very mindful of the company you're targeting. Think about their brand, the brand colors, the brand objective, the target market, the audience. And then let your film, once your film is aligning, then that's where you go to the company and say, listen, I'm doing a particular film. My target market is children between the ages of 5 and 10, predominantly boys, maybe 40% boys, well, 60% boys, 40% girls from the central area or from Border Spain area, wherever. The color palette is XYZ. We'll be focusing on family values. You have to, as a filmmaker, remember it's a business, think about why you are creating content. It's not because it's for fun. Yes, it's for fun, but I'm bursting a little bubbles. It's also not for fun. Because then, as a filmmaker, your content is valuable. And so the product placement, they should pay you for that. But they want you to think about it. So you're saying, okay, I'm offering you product placement. What else? Okay, your product can be in this particular scene for 5 seconds, for 10 seconds. And at a 10-second value, it's worth $50,000, $100,000, however. You can then say the main character will wear a jersey with the brand on it. So it's not necessarily, hi, this is my brand and the product is in your hand, but you can now be very strategic as a filmmaker to show that product integration into the film. And once we start thinking about that, and this is before you even go for the money, you want to create a film. I've always said, I haven't really seen any films with UWI campus, university students. Have we seen that? Any films with UWI students, like just, out and about? Correct me if I'm wrong, like on mainstream, cinema, TV, UWI, no? Regular boy meets girl on campus, boy falls in love. Have we seen that? I mean, Shay, anything? You might know more than me. No. And I mean, if we, what I always say is that the Hollywood model works for a reason. How many times you will see university student films, whether it be a horror, a love story, or whatever. We have a lot of stories that we can now take the Hollywood model, take the Nigeria model, take the Bollywood model, and use it. Because what we don't realize is that people still want that familiarity. So yes, you might bring in your own personal style, but let's say a film about university students on campus. That's not focusing on the school, but the environment. Let's see what UWI looks like. I'm sure UWI could be a good investor because you're going to do a positive story that's going to feature XYZ and the library and different places, right? You want to be able to use what you have that you can get for free or, limited costing and really tell a good story. And what I would say to us young filmmakers, you don't have to try to do the feature film out the door. 1 minute. I mean, look at TikTok. 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Get your style, get your brand, get your feedback, find your audience. Because a lot of times you have to find your audience before you go out the gate. What I will tell you as well is when you have to pitch to investors, they will ask you, where's your body of work? Right? And unless you can show them your body of work, they'll the most likely pass. You want to be mindful of that. Now, so you can go on our website and you can just play around with it and get yourself familiar with what we have available. Now, how else can we? Oh, the stakeholder showcase. How do you get on this stakeholder showcase? If you're creating content, if you have something that you want us to see, if we like it, if we think it's something that can be newsworthy, then we can actually do a feature on you. And this will go on our newsletter, we will share it on our website, and it will be on our social media pages. And this is a really good way of getting to introduce yourself into the larger industry so people can see who you are. So once you want to be a part of our stakeholder showcase, send us a message, tag us on the content you're creating. Even if it's not you and you know that maybe one of your friends creating content, again, tag us, let us see anything you're doing. Send us your behind-the-scenes photos, anything, right? We will reshare it for you. Now, how else can we get funding? So let's look at the Export TT Grant Fund Facility. Now, Export TT, which is really great, they're offering up to, it's a matching grant of $250,000 for equipment purchase. So if your equipment is costing $500,000 TT dollars, Export TT will give you $250,000. If your equipment is costing $100,000, Export TT will give you $50,000. Free money, you don't have to pay them back. That's the grant. But I will tell you, again, you have to be registered. There we go. Right? Remember, film is a business, and Export TT is also under the Ministry of Trade. And so a lot of times we miss certain insight because we're not registered. And with Export TT, I also think it's 2 years. Right? So you have to have your paperwork in order. They will ask you about your annual returns. You should start thinking about those things. So once you're registered, I should also say a bank account. And you should start that process early, because to get a bank account is take a process, right? So you want to start now. Yes, Stefan. One second.
Sorry about that.
Yes. Camera moving.
Action. All right, cool. So, hi, good morning. My name is Stefan Deshong. You just mentioned having to be registered for 2 years with your company. The last time we spoke at another presentation you guys did, you was explaining to me I could bump up the registration of my company from a sole trader to a limited liability. So my company has been registered like 18 years now, right? Would it be starting from scratch with that 2 years from the time you go limited liability, or?
No, that's fine. So they'll still ask you to see your annual returns and your accountant, which is not a problem, but you wouldn't have to start over.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
So you're safe. 18 years, you're inside. Apply. And actually, Export TT, they want you all to apply. And I know we may have some challenges, but it's because it's a process. And whatever concerns you have, we will help you go through the process. I will tell you, though, it's a one-time, meaning that I would encourage you, if your equipment is costing $10,000, try to get a little more, because if you use it and you just get the $5,000, then that's it for that fiscal. So you want to be mindful of how you want to use the grant, and don't purchase the equipment before you go to Export TT. Fill in the form, you have to get the invoices to see what is needed, and then you submit to Export TT, and then they will tell you, they will actually give you the money or pay for it directly. So this is an excellent incentive. But again, business registration, have your bank account in order, have your accounting and the returns. And I say that because it's not something that filmmakers like to do, but that's the world we're in, at least locally, and so that's the best advice that I can give you. Right, so that's the Export TT Fund. Now, C15 Studios, they've recently decided to help filmmakers as well. So what they're offering is, depending on if you have a film rebate or if you're doing any project, they try to give you money up front. So for instance, even with the film rebate, Film TT, once you tell us that you're applying for the film rebate, we might tell you, okay, your film qualifies for $100,000 after the rebate. You take that document to C15, and they will give you at least up to 80% of the 100,000. So you can start out the gate with $80,000. And of course, it's 8% per annum. So once the money, so you don't even have to worry about finding the upfront cost if you go through with Film TT with the rebate and C15. And so with that process, now once you get the rebate from the ministry, that money goes to C15. We clear on the C15 perks? Yes. When you say who is, it's a agency like a loan. It's a loaner. You have to borrow the money and then they'll give it back. And right now the general manager is Lorraine O'Connor, and lovely website. It's a fund management company, right? And they work really well with Film TT. They work well with the entire creative sector, actually, with fashion, with music. If you have a festival, whatever it is you're doing that's creative, they're providing you with the opportunity to get upfront costs to assist you with your expenses. Any questions so far? We good? And the last thing I want to discuss before I take your questions is Pavilion Plus. Now, a lot of times people ask us, well, where can we see local films? Yes, we have television, but Pavilion Plus, Gianfranco, curated, I would say, almost all of the local TV series, feature films, not from only Trinidad and Tobago, but Caribbean-wise. So Pavilion Plus is another good option or avenue. If people are asking, well, where can I see local films? You can direct them to Pavilion Plus to look at the films. Even if you have a feature film, now he will tell you that if your film is still somewhat new, go and still see if you get the cinema release, see if you can still get additional distribution before you come to Pavilion Plus. But if you have a film that you're just resting down for the last 5-6 years, or however long period, then Pavilion Plus might be a very good option for you, right? So this answers a lot of our local questions. Where can we find local films? Pavilion Plus. Any questions so far? Very good. All right, well then I'm done. Thank you very much for having me. Good. I was kidding. Y'all have no questions at all? Yes. She's running, here it is.
Hi, I had a question for sorry, hold on.
They have to find you.
Okay, yeah, I have a question about the, when you were saying that, we need to have all our information all the time, for government to have, all the information.
Right.
Is there plans to make something like that available for filmmakers that we could use as for investors, so they would actually see proof of what is going on in the industry and everything?
Definitely, send us an email. If you want to get then the stats, the film stats, yes. Actually, what I'm working on is a web page. I want to add a page to this site to be able to put up who got funding from Film TT. You can access, I'm a very transparent person, right? So I want you to see who's getting money, why the project got funding, and of course, if I can, because what I will tell you is not, especially with the international films, we cannot always broadcast that they're in the country. So sometimes big productions are here and I cannot see, because I have signed an NDA and they don't want people to know that either BBC is here or MTV, or we can't share that information. But whatever I can share, I will put it up. And if I cannot, then that's because I'm under NDA. So I may not always give you all of the information you're asking for. Look at you, I love it. It's very efficient. Yes.
Hi, could you just go to the page where you find actors and show us the database and
Sure.
make us familiar on how to use it?
The production directory. Yes, we normally get a lot of feedback about this particular system. So you go to the directory, you can click, and so you can do two things. You can search for talent, which could be a facilitation crew. You can actually add your services. So whether you're an actor, whether you're a student, whatever your role is in the film industry, you can come onto this platform and add it as well. So we have a list, so all of these individuals are registered as actors. Yep, so our actor. So yes, we have a list, but don't say Film TT, tell them to call so and so, and nope, still Still maybe let them interview, still ask them for their latest body of work and see if you like it, see if it works for you, right? But this is a really good way for us to report to the ministry that we have 277 companies or film production persons registered. Trust me, I know we have a lot more, but they're not registered. And a lot of times, even when I'm reporting data, I tell them this is the information that Film TT has. Because I know that things sometimes after I've reported, I might see a photo show up, oh, what we were doing this weekend, hashtag filming, hashtag TNT. I didn't know, right? And it's good when we do know so that now we can say, okay, this is a new project that's happening. Maybe it's something that we can also share on our Film TT page, and that adds to the validity of your project. Because remember, once you call yourself a filmmaker, what the person going to do? They'll Google. We know about IMDb. We own IMDb. Well, maybe not the year ones. Well, yes, because if you're doing projects, you all did short films as yet. Who is on IMDb here? Chian. Share you on IMDb. Share you on IMDb. No, which is fine. Can we type in IMDb? That's the International Movies Database. So as a filmmaker, IMDb is the International Movies Database. So yes, locally in Trinidad and Tobago, you can have a resume, but what the international producers and directors are looking for, they want to see your name on this particular database, so that once I type in Gian Hennings or Shea Bess or Stefan Deschamps, I should see the latest projects that you've worked on. This gives it a bit of validity. And why it's valid is because, yes, you might have a profile, but it's if the company that you worked for also puts your name down on a project you've worked on. All right, so Gian, I can type in your name. Let's type in Gian Hennings, Jian Hennings, Hennings. Right, he's there. Where the profile is? Oh, click on the next one. Yeah, this is, you want to look for Grace and Celine. And so this is what the international producers do. And what I will tell you, even from my hat as a coordinator, manager, producer. So this is Gian, so let's look at Gian. Gian is our filmmaker. He's also a screenwriter, if you don't know. And once you click on his name, you would see what he would have done on a number of projects. This is your currency as a filmmaker. Your resume, yes, but the IMDb profile is your currency in the national space, because then they want to see your name and see the titles. And so he can safely say, yes, I do X, Y, Z, because when they Google Gian's name, this will come up, and this gives him a lot of credibility in the film industry space. So yes, we have a lot of work to do as filmmakers. You have to register your business, get your bank account, work on projects, and I will tell you, we'll discuss that. Even volunteering is important. But if you want to volunteer on a project, I will always say you could call me first if you're not sure about the project, because I am always particular with the type of companies that people volunteer for. Then I hear horror stories. I am personally peeved when people don't get fed and you're working for 24 hours. That's a no in my book, right? So once you are volunteering, you must understand the value of you being there to volunteer. Make sure you get the titles. Make sure that when you're volunteering, you're asking them, are you setting up an IMDb profile? Will my name be on the IMDb profile? Will my name be in the credits? Right? So you can also ask for certain things once you are volunteering. But one of the best ways to get into the industry is through volunteering. Jelani, can I give your how we met story? I was doing a talk at CUSTAT. That would have been 2017, 2018. 2018, I think, I was doing a talk, CUSTAT, and that's where I met Jelani. And it was a media studies program, and I was talking about the film industry and what you can do in film. And then Jelani was interested in being on a film set. And from Jelani came and worked on one of my films called The Hike, And then his next project was somebody was asking, well, who you have that I can recommend? A lot of times I recommend people. Jelani went on to work for, I think it was Laurie. Was Laurie your first project?
I
I remember. But now Jelani is in sound and he's doing a lot of different things in the film industry, all because he was willing to volunteer. But what I would say is choose the right projects to volunteer. And so if a director is asking you to volunteer, a producer, Google the person name. Don't be afraid to Google people, just to make sure that that person is valid. And then you can still call Film TT or talk to me directly and say, listen, this person is asking me to work on your project. Do you know of this person? And I can also do my due diligence if I don't know who it is. Because I do not want you to be taken advantage of as a volunteer. And remember, as a volunteer, you can establish. Now, you can also say you plan to volunteer for X number of projects and then you want to go on to get paid. Because it is, you also want to get paid as a film person as well. Another thing I want to tell you, once you finish your degree, you are coming out of film of the university as a what? Are you a director, a producer? Are you sound? Are you grip? Pick a lane, please. Like really, like pick a lane. I'll tell you why. As a student coming out of film, you go to an established filmmaker and you tell them you're a director. Are they going to hire you? Well, you're quiet, boy. No, they're not, right? Because you're a director. Once you're coming out of you, I always tell you can do two things. Yes, as a personal, I want to direct films. I can direct films on my own time. But once I am entering into the industry, I will tell you two things. One, we have a gap. We do not have enough producers in the country, like literally. It's so bad, so this is something that you can do. We need producers. It's so bad that, remember, to apply for the film rebates, the international company has to work with a local producer who has a registered company. It all just is like a vicious cycle, right? So we need a producer who has a registered company and a bank account. And I cannot recommend enough producers currently. We don't have producers. We have, but not enough. So that, for instance, if two international productions say, Leslie Ann, I have a film, I'm interested in the film rebates, I need recommendations. I just start to panic because if the producers that I want to recommend on a project, I'm in a crisis mode. And so then, do I then promote the film rebate without having enough producers, or then tell UWI students, think about coming out as a producer, but you have to get the experience and start working on projects to be a producer. Producers make money. Producer is the first line of contact. People will reach out to you. You get to hire cast and crew. You're like in a really good place if you're a producer. So I'm telling you now, we need producers. We need people below the line. We need gaffers and grips and sound engineers and production designers and transport and location. There are a lot of positions that's lacking. And so sometimes you'll be like, nobody ain't calling me to do nothing because we don't know what you do. One, you're coming out saying you're a director, but we can't see your body of work and you're not on IMDb, right? And so you now say, okay, and a behind the scene photographer. We know what that is, right? Do we have any BTS individuals in the country? Like a main, like registered as who was saying? Who's Shea Poynton? I want to know because I don't know. Why am I not seeing that there's a light directly at me? So a behind-the-scene photographer is, I will say it, one of the most important positions on your film. Why? You take them for granted during the pre-production process. You take them for granted during the production process. When you're filming, you're saying, oh gosh, don't take a picture yet. The minute you finish your production, you're in distribution, and they're asking, so can we have some photos, some stills? Now, it's two things, You have the behind the scenes of the crew in action. That's one set of photography. And then you need the actual stills of the set. Two versions. You want to always take a photo of the empty set, and then you want to tell the actors to go and sit down on the set and take a photo of the actors just kind of interacting. You are taking it horizontal, you are taking it vertical. Please let that stay. It's very important, and you will cry if you don't do that. And your film wrap. And I've seen on several films after, we get emails saying, hey, cast and crew, so anybody have any photos that they took on set that all they could share? No, it's not good. The quality is not good, and you actually don't have enough marketing material for your film. So if you're hiring, spend your money on a good BTS person, because that is actually very beneficial down the road. Yes? So what I want to say, your takeaway is, there are a lot of different job occupations that you can do. We lack it in producers. I will personally assist you if you want to be a line producer, like personally. I will maybe once a month have like a 2-hour class. I will, it's that bad, right? We need people. And you can also choose other below the line projects or roles that you can do that you want to be able to now establish yourself. Things like stunt coordinators we don't have enough of. And remember, what normally happens, in order to say Trinidad and Tobago is a film-friendly space, the international crew need to feel confident that they can hire head of departments locally. Because if they still need to bring in their main, then they wouldn't want to come to Trinidad and Tobago to film, because it's going to cost them more money if they have to bring in all of their above the line, all of their crew, because they don't think that Trinidad and Tobago have enough experience to be able to help them make their film. And so it's kind of like a help me, help you. We need you all to have the experience. We need you all to also have the titles. We need you all to be willing to specialize. And I'm saying market yourself as a specialist, but you can do your things on the side. Because I know right now we don't have enough jobs happening. Now, another main concern I want to discuss is distribution. So one of the questions I got in Nigeria is, okay, how much money do films make after it has a cinematic release? Do we know? We have access to that data. Can we type in, I'm going to call out Grace and Salim, can we type in Grace and Salim online and see how much money it spent to make the movie, how much money it made so far? Can we type in Green Days, Basili? We can't, right? So when we talk to international producers, they ask that information. Tell me your titles. Tell me, in fact, they will ask us the latest title that we have. A title, of course, is your film. What is the latest film? How much money did it make in the cinema? How long did it stay in cinema? Tell me the cinema numbers, meaning how many individuals went to see the movie. We don't have that data. And so it's two things. One, we're encouraging filmmakers to give us the information. A lot of times we say we have to feel in shame because it didn't make. But unless we know, then we can't fix it. So, okay, maybe you wanted 1 million individuals to view a film, 20,000 individuals viewed it. Fine. Now we can analyze it. Your film becomes a case study, and you're doing it for the greater good. Did you actually fail? No, because you were able to make your film, and now you can learn from it. So several things. So from our distribution angle, we don't have enough data. Yes, we can go and we've tried, reach out to the major cinema places. Of course, we can call in any names. Would they give the information? They don't have to. We've asked, unless maybe it's a policy where they have to give it. Right now, they do not have to give that data. But I would love to be able to add a nice little page on the Film TT site so you can see all the films, all the feature films that would have screened in cinema for you to get that data. Because anybody coming up, they'll be like, well, and I'll tell you why this is very important. We go in for investors, we go into C15, we go into Beam, we go into these companies for money. They're business people. Okay, tell me about your industry. All it is make money. All it is, what was the last film? All it made, and all they're like, well, my film going to make, how you know that? How you know your film going to make what? Tell me what the last film made. So it's I'm glad that we are here to discuss how can we change so that the film industry can actually make sense from a business standpoint. Yes. You have to wait. he's like.
All right. So with what you're saying with the distribution, right? and you're saying that Film TT has tried to get the information from the various chains or whatever. How is it that we as filmmakers would be able to get it, but y'all would not be able to? I'm just asking.
No, I mean, that's a good question. This is what I'm saying. We're here. I always like to say, what happened, and let's start over. So what I'm proposing is moving forward, be open to share the information, one. Two, your other option is to go to the filmmaker directly and ask the filmmaker if they're willing to share. Now, we have the data, but it didn't come from the cinema. So then there is again the transparency that we don't know of. So we can still ask the filmmaker, well, did you make money? Well, I didn't make enough. I will tell you, if you go to Loris Leasing from Sally's Way, she will give you her data. You can call her now and she'll say, let's tell anybody. I will tell them how much money I made, what I got, what I spent. That's a filmmaker you can talk to as a start.
What I'm saying is, like, so if I make a film, I put it in wherever, since we don't want to call names. How come if we ask them, we would get the data, but Film TT would not be able to get the same thing?
You just asked me that question.
Right, yeah, but...
Right.
Right, so what I'm saying is, how come y'all would not be able to get it, but we are supposed to?
Is that what I'm saying? Is it that... I feel like
I don't think so. I don't know, honestly.
I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you to go to the cinema directly and ask for it, because they're not going to give it to you.
Right.
I'm saying that they're not obligated, because there is no policy that they have to give us the information. We clear?
So Film TT being under the government,
Right.
being a government brand,
Right.
can y'all try putting it as a policy? That
Always. We're always trying. But you know what will happen? I need the data from filmmakers. So I need to know that we have enough films happening on the ground and we're employing every month, and I'll tell you, I have to report on employment statistics. Again, it's only the films that I know. So whether you're doing a commercial or whatever you're doing, you should say, hey, we're doing this production, and I can now report that. Because then I can't go to the government and say, you all need to let these cinema chains tell us how much money they're making and the blah, blah, blah. And then when they ask for the data, it's always skewed. So it's really a hand in hand. I need data from the industry. I go out and I find as much as I can. I have the data from the films that would have made an inquiry with Film TT. I have data on the international productions coming in because we help them bring in their equipment. But I don't have data on the films that happening and they didn't see. Because I'm not clairvoyant, we can't get information on everything. Lori. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. So 2 quick questions. One, on the topic that we're talking. So I feel like it's a chicken and the egg kind of situation with the whole coming forward with information, because as you rightfully said, it is a business. And as you rightfully said, investors want to see the numbers so they feel encouraged to invest. And as you rightfully said, a lot of times filmmakers shame because of the low numbers to give up the information. And I suspect that if the information were more forthcoming, investors might say, best I invest in something else, because if that is what your returns are, this not making no sense to invest. So I'm not sure what would be the answer to really and truly, because if you look at the Hollywood model or whatever you want to look at, you see how much millions or hundreds of millions in the opening weekend or whatever the case is. You don't really have that in Trinidad with local films. So I think is that cycle and circle where filmmakers feeling like, hey, my real rate up the thing and it busts at the cinemas, and if I put that out there, to see that on a Film TT website, my thing showing $3,000 for the whole run of the thing or whatever, and other people. So that is one. And the other thing is with regards to Pavilion Plus, do you know if it's a situation, because I don't remember seeing a category there, and I don't remember if you said it, if they do accept short films as well, because I know a lot of times students would have to make short films, or if it's just feature length.
So far it's features and TV series.
Right.
Not shorts.
Right. And then the other thing is, with regards to Pavilion Plus again, is it that you're aware of the structure with which they operate as far as what they offer in return for coming there, if it's a non-exclusive thing? Because they said when you're done, make your run in all the places, then you could come to them. So it kind of given off the impression as if they might want to say, well, right, you're here, don't bother to talk to Netflix. We are the ones that dealing with your thing. I'm not sure if you have that information.
No, they're open and you get paid quarterly.
Right.
So filmmakers currently getting money every quarter based on the streaming.
And you know the percentages or anything like that?
No, I don't. But he did say within the last year they had over 500,000 views on the platform. So that's good analytics there as well. Laurie, and then, yeah, the guy.
So my question is, when you were talking about the statistics, is there then a form that the filmmaker can fill out saying, okay, this is that, as to guide them through that? And also too, you're saying that the statistics is supposed to assist us in getting better, right? How is Film TT going about analyzing this data in order to say, okay, well then, are they saying, well then, okay, cool, then we need to do some more cable viewings, because I saw you all did that the other day. Wonderful. Is it that you all are going to say, okay, Movie Town or See whatever, can we have a week of local films in this theater? You know, so is there, again, a form for filmmakers to fill out? You also mentioned, sorry, it's a lot. You also mentioned, you also mentioned commercials, because I mean we do that quite frequently,
yes.
right? So
yes.
That's why I thought of, is there a form? Because again, I produced a few of them, and then if that's the case, then I could encourage my colleagues to say, hey, let's do that.
So the first question, is there a form? Yes, that's the inquiry form we have on Film TT's site, so that you can fill in, especially before you start, so that you can let us know where you're doing a commercial. And I will say, as Laurie mentioned, commercials are our number one. I think commercials and maybe music videos. That's mainly where we get our income regarding the film industry. Feature films-wise, it's not as often, but commercials, yes, music videos, yes. That's a main staple. Right, so the form, the statistics, you had another question. How does it help? Another thing I will tell you, so one of the main things we got in Nigeria is that they asked us, well, who is all your talent? And I was like, Now, one of the main things that the international distribution platforms ask for, you call them marquee talent, which is billable. So we have a few, but not household names, where you can ask someone out of the film industry to identify 3 top actors. So based on that information with the statistics, we're working on now creating billable talent. Because, agreed, right? So now how do we then get Nigeria or different places to see Michael Sherry as, and I'll call it because we've seen him, he's doing some really good work. But we need more marquee talent, because remember, that's rebatable. Every local actor that's hired on any production, they can get back at least the 35% and then the 20%. So how do we create talent? We want to go to the movies and see starring Michael Sherry, starring Penelope Spencer, starring Nikolai Salcedo, starring Shea Best, starring whoever. We need to create that culture, because, and I will also say too with statistics, we need to go and watch the local films too, right? Support. I personally find when films are in cinema, we don't support enough. Or if you see something happening, tag, reshare it. Remember, if we can say the industry is working and everybody's seeing somebody tagging, I know Baku is showing in cinema, what day?
So Baku will be back out on the 27th, which is next week, Thursday.
Right, so he has a feature film that's going to show in Movie Town on the 27th. Go and watch it. Tag. Whether you like it or you didn't like it, say so, let him handle it. Right? No, of course, because if you don't like the film, say, well, you know, I don't like it, but I went. Because how else will we learn? And there's a whole other conversation about how we feel about tiptoeing on toes based on how people don't want to give feedback. But how can we change and grow if we say, well, I didn't like it, but kudos for doing it? We have to start building that culture. Did I answer all your questions, Laurie? Okay. Timothy. All right, sorry. Yes, you had a question. Say the name before you talk now, so I could get a name too.
Okay. My name is Tikel. Is everyone hearing me?
Yes.
if there's a gap between the years of experience and what the international community is asking for, or even what the agencies are asking for, because when you made mention of the $250,000 grant, to be quite honest with you, again, I'm relatively new to industry. I'm not sure how a person is going to get those kind of funds to even meet something like that to begin with. Is it that you think that the approach needs to change to fit our current realities? Take, for example, let's say there's a 2-year gap between what production companies can qualify for and what people here can do. Then is that should Film TT consider the approach where we have a script writing competition, and then we make that script into a film, and then during the pre-production process, we pull from whomever we have in the industry that gives them the credit. Then when the production happens, gives them credit as well, and by the time we reach distribution phases, if it's an issue to get the statistics, then why not have our own cinemas? Because this room could be a cinema and we could use this as an avenue to get that data from. So I'm wondering that, yes, you're trying to get us to that particular stage to what the industry is looking for, but if our reality doesn't fit that, then maybe we need to take a few steps back and change our approach. So that's my question.
So let me just make sure I have it correctly. You're saying that if we're unable to get the data, two things. You said first, if the business isn't registered for the period to apply for the grant. Is that the first question?
Right. The first thing would be the film production companies.
Right.
Right. If they don't have that 2-year experience, then using the example I give, then that will enable them to get that experience, to give persons in different fields in the film industry their experience as well.
Right.
So by the time this cycle of competitions and shows...
So wait, let me take it because you're asking,
okay.
You're saying a lot of different things,
Sorry.
right? So with the production company, this is why I said you have to register. That has nothing to do with experience. If you register now in 2022, by 2024, you have a registered business for 2 years. Even if you worked on 2 productions, yes, does that answer the first question? You still have to register and open a bank account. Phase 1, all of you, whether you're freelancing as a boom operator, you can still register, and when the company's paying you, let them pay you into the bank account of your registered business. You thank me later because then they want to see your credit and your paper trail and all these lovely things that you didn't know you had to do because it was freelancing and the money was going into your private account. That's your first question. Second question is statistics. That is exactly why I started in 2020 and I realized that we had a lot of gaps. And so we did do the script to screen where we gave the 40,000 to the 3 short films, and we were able to get statistics in terms of employing 121 individuals over the 3 films. So I'm a doer. So I am now saying, well, okay, I will start creating projects to get stats. So for the 3 projects, 3 short films, 121 individuals were employed. That's the foundation, that's where it starts. So to answer your question, yes, we can do that. And I think the third question is in terms of having our own screenings.
Yeah.
Right. I think we do that all the time. So the main thing is that, okay, if you want to have a film screen and you invite the audience, one, that's marketing. I can do a whole other session on marketing for films, right? Because a lot of times when we don't budget enough money to market your film. So your marketing budget should at least be 30 to 40% of your actual budget. I should even say 50, because Marvel and those bigger studios, they pay hundreds of millions of dollars in marketing. That's why you always see the films and that. But a local film, we don't spend enough money on marketing, so nobody knows your film is there. Going on, Buku, how much marketing have you done in terms of getting people to be in the cinema on the 27th of this month to watch your feature film?
All right, so...
Testing the theory.
Yeah, so I don't know exact figures right now, but what we're doing, because money is always an issue, is just tapping into networks, right? I'm here straight from a boat. I was in Tobago last night, on radio in Tobago last night. The day before that, I was on 104.7. We have a couple of things with 10 and Synergy and about 4 or 5 other stations to do the marketing. Now, fortunate for me and my background in production, I have a lot of links in the circles, so I tend to get on to places, but that is not everybody's situation. So the budget will definitely need to be there, but so that's what we're doing so far. And the plan is to beat it on the socials a lot with some boosted drops and that kind of thing.
And don't take for granted the in-person advertising. So
Yes,
you can
yes,
have
yes.
little flyers saying, hey, come and see my movie, all of the filmmakers say. So that's to answer your question. And what I will also say, Stefan, when you're asking for funding at Film TT, again, because it's a government organization, do not send us a request today and say you want the money next week. Don't do that now. Gosh, a little stress me out. It takes months, all right? And what I will tell you is, what month are we in? October? I had to do my budget since April of this year for the spend for this fiscal we're in. So sometimes when you find you send a request and I ain't got no response from Film TT, it's because the allocation. So you now as a producer or a filmmaker, if you have a film, we're in October, you should at least give us 3 to 4 months. You apply now, give us time. It's a process. And don't be upset, it takes time. So that must build into your budgeting. Any government agency, I will tell you, I have a festival, I have been promised funding from ministries. A year later, I ain't get it yet. The money coming, but I don't have it. So sometimes with government agencies, you wait, but it will come. So as a producer, 1, what is your upfront investment? And 2, give us some time to give you the money. And sometimes, I swear, they want to see you actually pull it off before they give you the money. Because a lot of times they feel like, well, we give it to you, and it doesn't happen, what happens to my investment? So always factor that in as well. Did I answer all your questions?
The last question I would have is that I know equipment is quite expensive. Does Film TT assist in providing equipment to new or current filmmakers?
Providing equipment?
Yeah.
Export TT is giving you all how much? Up to $250,000. Does that answer your question? Film TT, we cannot do everything, but we're here to guide you. So in terms of equipment purchase, we're sending you to one of our sister companies, Export TT. They're granting you, you don't have to give it back to them, up to $250,000 on the equipment, but you need to be registered. So I'm guessing you're saying if you're not registered, can Film TT assist? So the equipment is $20,000 and you only have 5, then Export TT will give you 5. Then you have other resources to get the other 10. I mean, it's still a business. I always say we love the handouts, but that's such a bad practice because then we've reached a point where we only create the content if we get money, free money. And because you get the free money, there is no real investment plan to recuperate the cost. And I'm personally moving away from it. That's why I'm telling y'all, don't even refer to it as sponsorship. It's investment. And until we change the language, then the companies, they don't want to work with the film industry because we still jokey to them. We're not serious.
Hi. So you touched on something I was just going to talk about in terms of the marketing. I think that is what we suffer a lot with. One of the opportunities I think that we should explore is the transport sector. For example, the ferry could show a lot of local films instead of the foreign. Even Caribbean Airlines, those kind of things. We could probably, begin to look at that. So that's just, and I guess you probably had that idea as well. But one thing that I wanted to bring up too is the issue of props. And I was working on a project with somebody some time ago, and the issue was we had prop guns, and the person said, if police catch us with this, they will take it away, And I know foreign, they do a lot of films with these things, and it's not a problem, especially like police uniforms, those kind of things. Is there a way that we could have some kind of card or something we could show, hey, we are a filmmaker, we could have these things so that we don't get in trouble for having them?
Yes. So this is why I don't like live streaming, right? Because I always say you'll get two conversations, the recorded conversation and what I'll say offline. So remind me to talk about, no, I can't, I don't, right? Sorry. If you want the truth, I need to not be recorded, right? I can answer, yes, good. So I can answer your questions offline, the both of them, right? With the transportation avenues and with the prop guns, we did have a meeting with the police service. Remember the incident with Alec Baldwin, with the shooting? And we had a meeting with them to actually do a session with the film industry about the prop guns. They actually have wranglers at the police station. When we worked on Home Again, and I'm talking about the other film, we did have actual police on set as wranglers. They can't do that. We do have people offering prop guns, but you can go to the police service and ask for wranglers, and they will come on the set and help you. So that is a possibility that happens. Now, with regards to the film permits, we've been Film TT, and this is before my time, we've been trying to get a film permit, meaning that once you're making a film, you need a permit from Film TT. So if you're outside filming on the road and the police pass, well, I have a film permit from Film TT and you're good to go. That is still a work in progress, but we have constantly we've been working on that. But the other questions is offline, okay? The response is offline. Just remind me, okay?
All right. Yes, sorry, I was just asking, what is the cost of the wrangler for the police to come on set and deal with
I can't say, sorry. Not because remember, it depends on how long your film is, how many guns you need, just the type of guns. It's a lot. And we did ask about the fake money. We asked about the costumes. We've had all of those conversations, and I genuinely want them to have a session with the film industry because it is a concern. It is something that we want them to discuss, but we're still waiting on feedback on when it's available. And what I would say, Film TT offers a lot of online courses. Sign up and take it, no, not to know. Oh, go, right? But yes, that is on the table. Any other questions before we could go offline? Yes.
Hi, do I need to stand?
What's that?
Do I need to stand?
Oh, he said no.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I had a question because you had mentioned that there's something filming. It starts filming next month, right? And that they'd be looking for production assistants. But as a student, I have classes like during the week, right? And if I was interested in that, would there be a way for me to go and help out?
Yep.
So on certain days when I'm off?
Correct. And you're a film student, yes?
Yeah.
So we could talk to UE and form a relationship to say, okay, we want to have X number of UE film students on set, maybe for 1 day or for 2 days or for a certain number of hours. That's a discussion we can have with the powers that be, who in the room right now. So hint, hint. Hint, hint.
Okay, thank you very much.
How do you sign up?
Send an email to info@filmtt.gov.tt. info@filmtt.gov.tt. And then, okay, one more question.
Oh, okay. So in terms of the grants, right, just very quickly, what is something like, maybe say like 3 things that you would probably see that you wouldn't give the grant for it?
It's a good question, and I don't know if I want to say offline or online. I'll give you the online version. So we will support any project that you want, but remember, this is a government agency, and I have to report the projects that we're funding up the chain, yes? So depending on your project, I'm not saying don't be the best creative version of yourself, but I'm saying if you're coming to Film TT for money, your project should be PG-13, family-friendly, along those lines. That's because you want government funding, and we have an accountability to taxpayers. And then we don't want that we see the Film TT logo and somebody say, well, why are we endorsing XYZ? That's the area that we have to play in. Yes? So I'm not saying don't make whatever film you want, but if you're coming to us, we do have a criteria that we have to accept. Yeah? So if you didn't get funding, maybe that's the reason why, right? Think about the content that you're making. It's not my rule. I support any content, personally. I think that's our last question. Oh.
Okay, no problem. All right, no problem. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this part of the session, and thank you those of you that were here and looking at our stream online. So we're going to have a bit more of a Q&A and a more candid conversation with our general manager here. So we're just going to sign off, and so thank you to everyone who looked at the stream live, and thanks for the support. Please tune in again. This is part of a series of workshops that we're going to have that's going to run for the next academic year, where we are going to showcase our students' works, staff works, and even works from alumni, where we can just have what movies that we are working on, films, funding opportunities, so on and so forth. So please do join us again, and thank you so much. So before I go, I'm going to have Yao Ramasa do a vote of thanks. Dr. Yao Ramasa do a vote of thanks.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. Thanks again, Leslie Ann, Willis-Caton. Very edifying. And of course, we're going to duck under the radar a little bit now, go offline for more searing questions. Those who were live with us, thanks for coming. And, you know, membership has its privileges, so come to the film program and you'll be able to stick around and ask all sorts of things under the radar. Bless. Thank you.
I love this land too bad, boy. I believe in land. I believe in land.
Hi, I'm Michael Mulida, Director of Green Days by the River and a graduate of UWI St. Augustine Film Program. So check us out.